Welcome to iGuide Tech Tips. I'm Chris, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to do a sky replacement on a panorama. This will actually work on just about any image, but because this is all about iGuides, I'm going to show you how to do it right from Stitch. There are also two easy ways to do this. I'm going to show you sort of like the quick and dirty way and then the slightly fancier way. Find a panorama you want to edit. I've chosen this one because it's outside, it's got a sky, and the sky is sort of a mix of blue and cloudy white. Most of the time you're probably going to have overcast skies, but to be honest, those are easier to work with, so this will kind of be a more challenging example. Right-click on the panel folder and choose Open Folder. When you do that, it's going to open the folder containing all the images for the pano, and the ones you want to edit are named H1, H2, and H3. For this demonstration, I'm going to edit H1 first, and I'm going to do that by right-clicking on it and choosing Open with Adobe Photoshop. And there you go. Now we've got our image in Photoshop and we can start working with it. I've already preloaded an image of a sky. I just downloaded this off of Google. I just searched for blue sky with clouds. But you can get skies from wherever it is you find them. Typical sources being stock images, or maybe you've already taken some pictures of some blue skies that you can use. So what you're going to do from here is take your sky and you're going to copy it. So what I've done is I've selected the whole sky and hit Control-C or copy. Then you're going to go back to your panorama image here, or your fisheye image I should say, and we're going to do paste. Now that is probably humongous, so I'm going to go edit, transform, scale, and shrink it. There's lots of ways to do this, by the way. This is just one way. And I'm going to make it roughly the size of the picture here, or like roughly the size of where the sky would be. And then I'm going to hit the blend mode drop down thing over here, and I'm going to choose multiply. So that looks weird, but like I said, this is the quick and dirty way. So the way you fix this is by creating a layer mask and then painting out the parts that you don't want to have weird sky stuff in them. There we go. That looks better. Like I said, this is the quick and dirty way, so I probably wouldn't use this method, but it does work. This method will work much better on an overcast sky because there won't be as many details in the underlying image or the original fisheye image. In fact, I can sort of clean this up by just putting white kind of behind these clouds. Yeah, you can see that sort of tidies it up a touch. Anyway, that's method number one. So let's do method number two. I'm going to save this before we move on so we don't lose all our hard work. And the way I'm going to do that is go File, Save As, and then I'm going to switch it to the file type to JPEG, and then I'm going to overwrite the original image. And it's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? I'm going to say, yes. Yes, I do. Now, if we reload the image in Stitch, it will use this image instead of the original. So let's go back to Stitch now and we'll start from the beginning. So from Stitch, I'm going to find a panorama that I want to edit. I'm going to right-click on the panel folder and choose Open Folder. That's going to open up the folder containing all the images, and then I'm going to pick which one I want to edit. So I've already done number one. You can see it's been upgraded. Number two will be the next one. So I'm going to right-click and choose Open with Photoshop. And again, it's going to load my fisheye image into Photoshop so I can edit it. From here, I'm going to use a different method. And to start, I'm going to make some copies of my background layer. The way you can do that is by pressing Control-J on your keyboard. It'll just automatically make one. But you can also go, right-click on the layer and then choose Duplicate Layer. But Control-J is faster. Or Command-J on a Mac. Now that I've got an extra couple layers here, I'm going to turn off two of them, the background layer and then I guess the first copy. And then this layer, I'm going to do something special. I'm going to double click on the little sort of thumbnail image in the layer panel here. And what Photoshop will do is automatically load up this screen, which is the layer style screen. And it has exactly what we want, like right here in front of us. It's the blend if option. And the way this works, actually I'll just move this out of the way, is that if I move these sliders, it will, you can see the difference in the image here. It will sort of like, it almost looks like it's subtracting parts of the image. What it's doing is it's making parts of the image transparent. Either way, the way this works is that it's making the highlights transparent if I move this slider, and then it makes the shadows or dark areas of the image transparent if I move this one. So I don't care about the dark areas, I want to keep them. But I'm going to move this one to the left. And you can see it's kind of like already subtracting the sky, which is pretty cool. So we're going to just remove most of it. And you can see it's removing all this stuff, but we have a fix for that. That's why we made that extra layer down there. So we're not going to worry about that. This is probably good enough. This will work on an overcast sky because overcast skies are almost always really bright and white. If you need to, though, really weird thing you can do here is you can click on this little drop down and select blue instead, and then it will blend the blue instead, which also works very well. Actually, it works better. Maybe we'll use that. Okay, cool. That looks great. We'll do that. So with our sky removed, we're going to do the same thing we did before, which is basically just to grab a sky. So I'm going to copy this one again, and then to paste it into our image. And I'm going to have to resize it just like I did last time because it's humongous. So I'm going to choose transform scale, and then I'm going to shrink it down so that it's, you know, kind of like roughly the size it should be. Now that I've got it where I want it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the layer down so that it's behind the other layer. And you can see now where the image was transparent, the sky shows through. So that looks pretty good. But we've got all this weird gross stuff down here. So what we're going to do now is fix that. And the way we fix that is by using a layer mask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this layer, and it actually fixed most of our problems already, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to drag this layer up so that it covers that sky. And then I'm going to create a layer mask, and I'm going to paint over it. And like some kind of magic, it's going to replace the sky for us, and it's going to leave all this intact. So if you don't know how layer masks work, it's a great thing to Google and to figure out. I could probably make a video for it as well, because layer masks are awesome for window replacements. They're also, in my opinion, one of the funnest things Photoshop does. So let's save our work again, and we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to choose Save As, select our file type as JPEG, and then overwrite the original image. So when I click Save, it's going to say, are you sure you want to replace it? And we're going to say, heck yes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Stitch, and I'm going to reload this pano. And the way I do that is by right-clicking and choosing Reload. And what that will force Stitch to do is reprocess or restitch the panoramic image using the fisheyes that are there. So the fisheyes that are there are now the new ones that we've put there with the fancy sky. So let's see what it looks like. So that's a little weird, but it's kind of cool. Let's see what it looks like when we use the Take Picture tool. Okay, that looks pretty good. And you know, the blending isn't that bad either. But then we have the old part of the sky, which just looks boring and sad. So that's not a bad result. It's pretty good. So what I'll do now is I'll edit all 3 fisheye images, and then I'll load them into Stitch so you can see what that looks like. And I'll even put a little timer on it while I'm doing it, and I won't talk. And that way you can just watch me do it start to finish, and we can see how long it takes. Well, that looks interesting. Your results would probably be much better if you use a better texture, maybe one with less clouds, or maybe just one that's different. I don't know. You can see clearly here there's a huge seam, and that does get blended when the full panorama is made. You can see here, but it still looks a bit odd. I'd have to tweak that a bit to get the results to be better, but I think that took, what, like 4 minutes? It wasn't such a big deal. So you could probably refine that process and keep it, you know, under 5 or 6 minutes per pano if you were interested in doing so. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. And for more information at all about anything relating to the iGuide camera system, go to goiguide.com.